Today on the Runna Podcast, we have Dom, who is the other amazing co-founder of Runna alongside Ben, and we're going to be dialing into his running journey alongside the birth of the Runna App.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for having us.
You're
welcome to the podcast, Dom.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit weird to be hosted on our own podcast.
It's weird for me to be interviewing my bosses, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
let's hope you do a good job.
No pressure. First of all, how did you guys meet?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so we Ben and I met at uni, so we actually did the lacrosse club together. So
Lacrosse?
Yeah, lacrosse, yeah. So we did mix lacrosse at uni. So I basically did a bunch of different kind of like societies and whatever throughout uni. And then in my last year, I wanted to pick up something different. So I tried lacrosse. So I came in my fourth year as a fresher. And at the same time, Ben was the president of the lacrosse club. So yeah, we kind of quickly hit it off. We were like tied together on some socials and all of that kind of stuff. And then never kind of thought that this drunk guy next to me that I was tied up to would be my co-founder one day, but here we are.
Yeah, I think on the first uni night out that Dom came along to, we tied up together and had to drink a bottle of wine together.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've drunk many bottles of wine together since.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, we had a very nice year together playing lacrosse, which wasn't very serious.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I guess like I knew that fitness was my thing, so within the club of 150 or something people, we put together a regular group that would come to the gym and do these kind of fitness classes that I put together, mainly as a way to practice for my future life, not doing a geography degree, but doing fitness. Dom came along to all of them. And at the same time, we also took a group from that to go on to do the Southampton half marathon, which was my second, but Dom's first half marathon, right?
Yeah, I think I might have done one the year beforehand. But yeah, I still remember that one because I think you'd spent so much time in the gym that your quads and like thighs had just got so massive that then you just got like the worst like chafage on your short just because there was no like room for your legs to like sit next to each other as you ran. Yeah. I still remember you like finished the marathon and your shorts just like completely covered in blood, and I was just like, "Who is this guy?"
I bled from my thighs because the chafing had got so bad. And then bled, which then dried and went brown. So everyone looked at me as if I had a number 2 mid-run. And then when the medics worked out that it was actually blood, they like didn't let me go home and took me to the medical tent where like there was basically all these people like passed out in like much worse condition than me, and I had like sore fat thighs. And anyway, eventually they let me go home. But this was also the time where like we're at uni, we're poor people. The race was kind of like 30 minutes away from where we were staying in a different part of Southampton, and didn't have anywhere to get home other than walk. So having done my like second ever half marathon with extremely chafed thighs, having to waddle the whole way home was not so nice. But anyway, I guess life's got a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was day one, and I guess
who beat that? Who won that half marathon?
Well, Ben did the full marathon, I did the half, but like I wasn't. This was like my second one. I think I did 2. Like each year in Southampton. I think I got like 150 or something, so like 1 hour 50. So I was like super happy with that at the time, and then obviously nice to know that like now have improved a lot since then. But I was kind of like very excited, as like a lot of people are, to like have done their first half marathon and got that under the belt.
So the Runna App wasn't even a glint in your eye. So what happened after uni?
Yeah, I guess like for me, like it was kind of always there, but just not kind of there, in the sense that like Ben has always just been about like fitness, running, and helping other people run. And I've always been into kind of product startups and whatever. So we kind of like always had that in us, but just kind of like never together, which I think is like kind of why it's been so nice to kind of come together, because we both have those 2 different strengths. But kind of after uni, I went and joined a management consulting firm called McKinsey. So I was kind of doing a mix of like strategy stuff, but then also a lot of product and tech work, which is like where I've always been excited. Like I've got a technical background and a degree, and always been like really, really excited by that. And then Ben kind of went off and you did kind of fitness and running.
Yeah, so I graduated uni with 0 interest in my geography degree. As soon as I qualified, was like qualifying as personal trainer, Pilates instructor, kettlebell instructor, spinning instructor, Ironman coach, number of different courses.
Yeah.
And then started working in Southampton as a way to like avoid moving back to London and living with my parents. did that for 9 months, went out to Greece and ran the fitness department for 2 years at a 5-star hotel. And then I came back to London and set up my own kind of in-person and online running coaching business, which is where Dom got back in touch. Obviously having his kind of success at McKinsey, and asked if I'd help him coach him towards a faster 5K. We managed to break the 19-minute goal, I think it was at first. Correct. Then went away, did his own kind of merry thing, came back and helped you towards the first marathon, which was Athens. Yeah. Which is, for anyone out there who's done it or hasn't, it is basically a hot and uphill marathon the whole way, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like the original marathon. So you start in the town called Marathon, and like the kind of story is that the battle of like Marathon or whatever against, I think it was Sparta, the messenger for that ran back from Marathon to Athens, and then as soon as he did kind of deliver the message, and he dropped dead because he was so tired from the run. And like the idea is that then the marathon, which is named from that kind of like route from Marathon to Athens, is like known as this route that can kind of kill a person because if you go and run it. So then that was why it was kind of set, and that's like the distance. So yeah, the like Athens Marathon is literally running from the town of Marathon back to Athens. And it's just like amazing, but yeah, it's quite like hot hilly, uphill, and like for someone like me who's gingerhead, it's like not the best for the sunshine as well. A lot of sun cream required.
I always think that's ridiculous that the first guy who ran a marathon died, and now we're all just like, let's do it too. Like,
do you know the story about like why it's 42.2k?
Well, that's the distance from Marathon to Athens, right?
No, so the distance from Marathon to Athens was like 42, and then basically I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like at one of the Olympic Games, I think it was like in a London one or something, it was basically running past, I think it was like, Victoria and Albert. So I think it was like running past them. And then basically the finish line of the marathon was going to be 200 meters from where they were sat. So then they extended it by what was essentially 200 meters so that the marathon would finish in front of their kind of royal box. And then that's why it's 42.2k. So then every time that you're in a marathon and you run 42k, the kind of last 200 meter sprint is entirely like added on, and it's not kind of the original distance.
That is.
So yeah, fun fact.
If we tell Kipchoge that, he'll go sub 2.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's
if you told me to run another 200 meters at the end of the marathon, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So Ben was coaching you to that marathon.
Yeah.
And then how did the idea of the Runna App come about?
Yeah, so I guess like from my perspective, like I was like absolutely loving having that experience training with Ben, and I just thought it was like so much better. Like I'd obviously tried all the different running apps out there beforehand, tried doing it my own way, reading things online, whatever, and it was just like such a bad experience. It was really unmotivating. It was really boring, and like working with Ben, and he was setting me all these different intervals and tempo sessions and having it all kind of structured out and laid out for you at the week. So you kind of just had to open up this document and you knew exactly all the runs that you're doing. It was just like so much more fun, so much more motivating, and it made me kind of like really love running. But at the same time, it was like relatively expensive, and at the same time, it was also quite inaccessible because I knew that to Ben, we had to have a call or message him, and I'd have to tell him everything that I'd been up to, and he'd then have to write my next couple of weeks and send that to me in a Google Doc. And I was like, I kind of want that on an app, and I want that to be really accessible to me. But equally, I think that what I'm experiencing, there's so many millions of other runners in the world that would also love to experience this, but there's only one Ben and there's a million runners. So I was kind of like, well, how about we would work together to kind of come up with a way that we could do this automatically. So use kind of like an algorithm to take all of Ben's knowledge and all of the workouts, but then use that to help, and all of his kind of coaching expertise, put that into kind of like an algorithm somehow, and then we could output personalized running plans and give the same output that Ben would give me, but using kind of an algorithm plus Ben's knowledge to do that, rather than kind of having to pay someone to kind of write it manually.
Yeah, I guess, and at the same time, like I was seeing it from the other side of the coin, which was that like I could coach 40 people, and as Dom said, was charging a lot of money, making a healthy income for me as a 23, 24-year-old, but like I couldn't take on any more people. So I was turning people away. I was very lucky in a position that like I was training a few high-profile people that were really meaning that the exposure was on me, and more people wanted to train with me. And people like Dom were doing so well that they were sending friends along, and I couldn't help them. And so kind of like when Dom suggested doing this in an automatic way, it meant that we could make it so much cheaper, and therefore also probably make it better at the same time. And so like Dom said, he got in touch. And we started off with a Monday evening call, where Dom tried to extract as much knowledge out of me as possible. And then what was worse is that then he told me to turn up again on the following Thursday, and even set me homework. So actually, I was 23, 24, happily like set up my business, like really like doing whatever, happy with my life. And then I've now got to take a phone call in the evening for like 4 hours on a Monday night with like one of my clients who won't leave me alone. And then I have homework to do before Thursday. And it was also so exciting because like Dom had also already put a bit of thought into it, and you could really see a path where like this could work.
Yeah.
And so from there, it was started off Monday and Thursday nights, until it was basically every night of the week for 9 months. Dom would take his annual leave and come and stay with me in the lockdown, right at the end of the lockdown, and got to the point where the kind of last thing to do was to pick a name and to launch the business. And I'm not quite sure how we ended up stumbling across what we launched with, not Runna, but the Run Buddy.
I think it was your dad at some point who was kind of talking about running mate or something, and then we ended up with that. But yeah, I think on that kind of like initial story, like we had just no idea that like the vision and stuff is kind of been the same, but it's just grown so much. But we just never thought that we'd like reach the scale and kind of size and stuff that we have done, and like we just had no idea back at the start. So like I genuinely thought that what we would build is a way that Ben could maybe serve 200 clients, or so where basically he could come into this tool, it would build kind of an initial version of the plan for one of his customers. He could then kind of add his own comments, tweak it, make sure he's like completely happy with it, and send it to the user. So it means that for him, rather than spending kind of half an hour on, say, a client each time, he could spend 5 minutes or something, and that would enable him to serve 200 clients. But I genuinely thought that I was building like a back office tool for Ben in my spare time that would be kind of fun, so that he could help more clients. And I had no idea that we would go from kind of, I thought 40 to 200 would be amazing, and instead we've gone from 40 to hundreds of thousands, and like just had no idea that we'd get to the position that we're in today.
Yeah. I love that you were paying Ben. There probably wasn't mates rates or anything.
Yeah.
Still coaching.
Yeah, I feel like I should ask for that money back at some point.
Yeah, we'll do that at the IPA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like at the same time, like there was my kind of like journey into fitness, like the first 3 or 4 years I'd had in my career, like there are so many businesses that I would look at in the fitness industry that like I didn't like, all for certain reasons. And with that in mind, like that's really like helped shape the way that we wanted to position Runna. And so I think there's like 2 problems I have with the industry. One is which is like it's not designed for accessibility. Without naming like specific corporate gym chains, I think like all of them, or very much the model of it is you have a joining fee to join a gym. You then want to go and do personal training. You've got to sign up to a subscription for 3 months, 6 months. And typically, in what I found when I was working in corporate gyms, was also that if you wanted to go on holiday, you then literally have to use a session extra the week before, because you can't just like have it off. And all of that is so wrong for someone who's maybe right at the start of their fitness journey, really feeling a little bit motivated enough to go over that hurdle of all of these daunting factors. And that's expensive, scary, and all of these things. So we wanted to make sure that when we think about the way that we build Runna, we reduce all of those barriers to entry. And that's the reason why doing now in Runna as a service, anyone can come in and try it for free. Because like someone may well have a little bit of motivation on their Sunday evening to get started training for a running goal tomorrow. And we want them to be able to play around with the app, try it out for free, and realize that it's fun and exciting and a way to help them to achieve their goals without having these huge hurdles and barriers to entry. And then I think a second problem that we've also tried to solve, again, from looking at a lot of businesses that maybe prioritize money and don't prioritize helping people, which is, I guess, the thing that we really want to do. Some weight loss businesses will confuse the customer rather than teaching them about calories, or trick them with points so that they maybe lose weight over the journey training with that business, but then at the end of it they're no smarter, they're no better off. And so instead we want to make sure that we're building Runna in a way that is accessible, but also helps the customer understand why they're enjoying their running, why they're getting better. So maybe at the end of their training journey and they've achieved their goal of a half marathon, they can go on and run for the rest of their lives, having built healthy, happy habits. And realistically, that happens. People give us great reviews, and then they go on to tell more of their friends, and it leads to a healthy, strong business. And also, I think the nature of running, which is so fantastic, is that it's addictive. People get to that half marathon, and yes, they've learned so much along the way, but then they want to go bring their time down, or they want to go a bit further. And again, like because we've done it in a way that's accessible, and it's not as expensive as that of what I used to charge Dom and rip them off for to some extent, it means that people can stick around and use this as a service from a ongoing basis, which I think like determines a lot of the ways that we think about building things today and think about how we grow the business to support more and more people into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is amazing and so inspirational and such a clever idea, but how did you get it off the ground in the first place?
Yeah, so I think like the first challenge was just kind of, can we actually build this, and like, does it actually work, where we can take kind of Ben's coaching logic and everything that he understands about runners, of which there's so many different parameters and so much that you get to know about someone that you need to kind of factor in. Can we build something that can kind of take all of the knowledge, take all of the workouts, and combine that in the same way that Ben would do himself? So I think that was kind of the first technical thing, which we were kind of scoping out over the course of 6 months. So trying to build in, okay, if you've got 3 workouts for someone, how do you schedule those into a week? With, imagine I can run on 5 days of those week. What's the best way that I can fit those 3 workouts in the 5 days, and what's the best permutations, through to then how do we take someone's intervals, where we know someone might be, I don't know, a 40-minute 5K runner, we've got someone who's a 20-minute 5K runner. How do we personalize that particular interval session to them, and how do we support 40 minutes, 39 minutes 59, 39 minutes 58, and give everybody that kind of really custom personalized experience? And how does people's paces degrade over distance, and how does that degrade over particular different training runs, etc.? So there was a lot of kind of stuff that we were scoping out, but then I think once we cracked that, that was when we kind of realized, like, okay, wow, yeah, this is possible, and this is like as good as Ben can deliver, and we have the potential here to make it even better. And I think there was kind of 2 phases in that journey. So the first was then moving from like, this isn't just a tool that like is going to help Ben and help Ben serve 200 clients, but this is something that we can actually like sell directly to users, and we can host this on a server and output a PDF, which is kind of what we did when we initially launched. But then the second phase was then quite quickly realizing that this isn't just something that we should be outputting as a PDF. This needs to be like the world's biggest running training subscription app and that we can build. So I would say those are the 2 kind of phases. But yeah, the first one was very much like, how do we then take that and build it into a PDF, such that, and this was kind of what we initially launched with, as the Run Buddy was, somebody would come into their website, they would type in their details, and I think there's about don't know how many initial customers. Yeah, we got about 1,500 people initially who are probably listening to the podcast, and thank you very much, because without you guys, honestly, we would not be in the position that we are today. But yeah, they would come in, type in their name, type in their running ability, what they're training for, how many days a week they want to train, when they can train, a long run day, where they want in kilometers or miles, and then basically that would run our engine, build a PDF, and then email the PDF to the user. It sounds relatively basic if you compare that to the Runna app that we have now, which is a million times more complex. But back in the day, we thought that was absolutely revolutionary, and we gratefully kind of had quite a lot of users that did too, because we were kind of a lot cheaper than if you had to pay someone manually to write it, but then at the same time a lot better than kind of generic PDF plans that you might find on the internet. So I think people really kind of valued initially what we were putting out, hence kind of why we had some users sign up, which is just like, I remember the first user just being like so amazed that anyone would even pay for the thing that we'd produced, and then to kind of see where we've gone from then to where we are now today. It's just been kind of a crazy journey.
Yeah, and I guess at the same time, obviously we needed money. Yeah. As in, so there was an initial point where we could launch this website. There wasn't much to do, and Dom and I did that with our kind of pocket money, etc. But then it came to the point that actually we wanted to like hire our first developer so that we could go on to start working towards this bigger vision. And very luckily, one of my private clients, a guy called Joshua Patterson, he's gone on to do some amazing running challenges that really excitingly helped him start his running journey. But so he believed in us, and I introduced him to Dom quite early on. And with that in mind, he invested and helped us go on to hire our first kind of full-time hire, Walter, who's now our CTO. And he basically spent this 9-month period while we're selling these PDF plans on our website, working behind the scenes to be able to shift this onto the App Store. And so, kind of 11 months or 10, 11 months after launching the Run Buddy, we went on to launch on the App Store. We also quite quickly rebranded as we did so to become Runna. And leave the Run Buddy days behind us. And it's quite funny now, we still get people messaging us or applying for jobs or whatever, being like, I used you as a Run Buddy customer, which is quite funny. And we used to call all of our customers buddies. And obviously now we can call them runners instead. But at the same time, we also continue to need to increase the amount of funding that we could put into the business as we wanted to grow the team. And the reason why the app's so fantastic today is because of the number of amazing minds that get to work on it with us. So at that point in time, we're 11 months old, and we went on to sell 10% of the business. And we did so through what's called a crowdfund. So we essentially, we didn't know any fancy pants investor type people. So instead what we did is we sold 10% of the business to our earliest customers. So we had 303 of our early customers, between them all clubbed together and essentially invest £500,000. And with that money, we were able to then fuel the next kind of year's worth of growth, which meant that we were able to go from kind of getting our first subscriber, moving over from selling these upfront PDFs to having people subscribe to train with us. And over the year ahead, we kind of got to 2,000 and a bit customers. And then from there, we were able to raise some more money. And as Dom said, kind of like we've been on the App Store now for 2 years, and we've had a few 100,000 people download the app, build their plans. And at the same time, we're now in this kind of remarkable position where we're the number one rated running coaching app. We've got customers in over 180 countries. And the funny thing about that is whenever you've played Sporkle or whatever the game is where you try and list the countries, I think I can get to about 67. So there's more countries that I don't know of that have someone in that country training a runner. That is, I find, remarkable. So a very lucky, privileged position to be in. But at the same time, even though we've built this thing that people are really happy about, we definitely feel like there's a huge long way to go as we keep make Runna smarter.
We've been, as I say, we've been joking in the office that Izzy, who works in our social media team, needs to go to every single country and make someone sign up for it, and she can make a really good TikTok out of it.
If this podcast gets enough comments or whatever it is, we'll send Izzy to that remaining country and get her to buy a phone, download Runna, go on a run, and then come home again.
Exactly.
And I think some people probably who have like just started using the app don't kind of realize how basic it was back in the day. So when we had kind of the PDFs, and even after we moved from the PDF onto the app, we didn't even have the journey to edit your 5K time or edit your days of the week in the app. So what would happen is people would literally have to email in, and in the morning, like my first job of the day was to go through all of these kind of customer support messages. So Ben did all of the Instagram DMs, I did all of the kind of customer support messages, and we would get ones such as, I have built my plan off a 25-minute 5K, I've just got a 24-minute PB, can I update my plan? I would then have to go to the back end, rerun their plan with a 24-minute PB, update it onto their app, and then message them back to say that's all done for you now. So even these kind of things in the app, such as being able to just edit the days a week you're available, I don't take any of this stuff for granted anymore, because I used to have to do that manually for all of our different users. So it was like what we launched with was like so basic, but I think given that people were willing to subscribe and pay for just kind of like the personalized PDF, it just really gave us confidence that like if people are willing to pay for a PDF, then people will be willing to pay for an app, and a lot of people will be willing to pay for it if like so many people are happy with the PDFs as well.
Yeah, as you say, it's like grown so rapidly. It's improved so quickly. What is the long-term and I guess short-term goals of the app, or is there anything exciting coming up in the future that you're allowed to tell us all about?
I mean, I can go with the big picture vision.
Yeah, please.
Which I think I guess the experience that we started out trying to build was replicating the experience I gave Dom for £25 a week. And I think we got to that quite quickly, and we've got a long way past that. And I think the experience we're now trying to build is building the experience that an Olympian in the Western world gets, between having their data scientists, their sleep analysis done, having their strength and conditioning, their nutrition, their running, all of these different things done in this automated, really easy to use, scalable package at a fraction of the cost for anyone wherever you are in the world. And what that looks like in 2 or 3 years' time is the case that your runner training is adapting around how well you slept on your Garmin watch or on your Oura Ring or your Whoop band during the different stages of your menstrual cycle, if you've been on holiday, if you've got injured, all of these different things, and doing it in a way that you just wake up and you don't have to worry about what to do. You just get told by your app, this is what you should go and do. Just like an Olympian probably doesn't need to worry too much. And obviously there are a lot of hurdles for us to get to, and that's maybe the long term. I guess you can go with maybe the middle term or the short term.
Good question. Like ultimately, as Ben mentioned, the long term vision is to build like the best like running training app we can do in the whole world, and the short term vision like definitely reflects that. So number one is just like keep working on the product. So we know that we have a good product at the moment, hopefully, and people are kind of really enjoying training with it. But at the same time, we know we've just got so many things that we need to build into there. So a couple of the things that are coming up. So one is kind of a massive revamp to the app community. So we have a lot of people engaging in there, and we have a lot of people who maybe would be engaging in there but aren't because the functionality is not quite there, etc. So if you imagine, say, you're training for your first marathon, you've entered the Athens Marathon, there's a lot of people that will be doing that but won't have any friends who've run a marathon before, or they don't know anyone who's done the Athens Marathon before, and yet you'll have an absolute ton of questions. So what we'll be kind of launching over the next kind of month or two will be when you're then select that you're training for the Athens Marathon, you'll then go into a specific Athens Marathon space in the community. You'll then be able to post and ask questions, see all the top questions that everyone else is asking, and kind of get like a really cool feed, and it becomes the go-to place for your race questions, your general marathon training questions, your ask questions to other runners, also based in London, for example, and you can plan kind of meetups, etc. as well. So super excited about that. We also have adapting plans around kind of holiday illness and injury, which is like the number one thing that we get asked all the time, which is I'm on holiday next week, what do I do? I'm ill, what do I do? I'm injured, what do I do? And these are things that we can basically build into the app. So you can tell us when you're away on holiday in week 8 and 9 of your plan. You can tell us that you're currently injured or tell us that you're currently ill, and we'll basically build you back from that. Work out kind of, if you say you're ill for kind of 3 weeks, we'll be able to kind of work out roughly how much you will have lost fitness wise in that 3 weeks, and we'll be building you back up from a point where we know that you can actually do, versus kind of building you onwards from a point that we assume that you've kind of still been training for the past 3 weeks, which is how it works at the moment. And then probably the third exciting one to share is what we're calling instant workout. So we know that we have a lot of users who either aren't currently following a plan or don't want to follow a plan. So a typical use case of this is imagine someone who's done some half marathon training, they've done that and they're kind of in between goals and they want to kind of run a little bit more loosely, maybe not follow a plan. And we basically want a way where they can still use the Runna app to plan all of their different runs, schedule all their different sessions, but kind of taking that one step further. So imagine that you can tell us, okay, I've got 45 minutes and I want to go and do a really hard interval session. Mm-hmm. You can come in and click on intervals, say that you want a hard interval, say that you've got 45 minutes, or maybe you want to only run 6K in your intervals. We obviously know the rest of the information about you, and then you literally just press go, and then that will kind of go on your phone, go to your watch, all of these different things. So yeah, super exciting. And like, these are probably the 3 features that we get asked about all the time on the surveys that people fill in, the app store reviews, all the messages that we get, kind of always calling out these things. And that's like, at the end of the day, we are just about trying to build the best experience that we can do for our users. And every single feature that we work on, and we are like working incredibly hard. Like, there's a really big team working incredibly hard on this, is that we genuinely just try to take all of this feedback and build the feature that people are asking for the most. So kind of to all of our users out there, like, please make sure that you do fill in the survey, suggest features and stuff, because we read genuinely every single one and we use that to inform all of the next things that we're building. That's kind of products and stuff. I know it's kind of like a long point.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then the second one is kind of around just like the US focus. So I think we've obviously grown very quickly in the UK and kind of have a really big community in kind of London and across the wider UK, which has just been like amazing. And we've had a lot more people that we didn't even think would sign up to Runna or sign up to Runna, which has just been so nice to see. But at the same time, we know that kind of we want to keep growing and we want to keep reaching more runners all over the world. And to do that, we really want to focus on the US. So that's very much the goal of this year. So like in the UK, we kind of run ads on Instagram and Facebook. We have different influencers, etc., that we use, and we want and ambassadors, and we want to kind of scale that across the US. So that's kind of very much like the other focus, is how do we reach more US runners and appear as much of a US brand as we do a UK brand to our US audience.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Sneak previews. Last question before we do some silly ones. What would you guys say is your biggest like achievements since the birth of Runna? With the app or in general life?
That's a good question. I mean, like, for me personally, like, I've never worked in a business before, other than like inside a gym or doing at a hotel in Greece where I was part of doing stuff like that. But I've never worked in a corporate environment before. So I feel like very proud to get to work with so many amazing people who are all smarter than me and relatively have to manage them to some extent. And I for me anyway, like a big part of that's been learning from Dom, who worked in big teams in McKinsey, and be able to share a lot of that experience of actually how to do it. And then I've just had to go with it on the job and hope it works out all right. But I think we're very lucky that the team is absolutely fantastic around us, and makes it a lot easier to manage such a motivated and fun, happy group of people. But I'd say, being able to manage a fast-growing big group of people has been probably something that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, and I think in a way, like, that's always been one of our strengths, is that Ben doesn't have that kind of status quo of like, here's how it should look, because almost that danger of me and other people that we've have in the team kind of coming from I don't know, corporates beforehand, we all have a set way of doing things, and you kind of take these different things for granted, where I don't know, whether it's kind of the way that you do meetings or emails or whatever, and kind of Ben coming at that with like a fresh pair of eyes and always challenging the status quo is always so helpful, because you realize there's these kind of weird corporate things that you do or say or have to write down or whatever that just don't really make much sense. And Ben's kind of always keeping us honest with all of that, which has been amazing.
It's kind of funny because like some of the time we'll end up completely aligning to what's normal in other businesses because they're probably that way for a reason. And then there's also some times where like we don't just like copy the 5 best businesses in the country and do things that way. We just like randomly think what would be great, blank slate, blank canvas, and just roll with it, which I think does work quite well. I think the other thing that works super nicely is that Dom and I are like very good at very, very different things. So like on our own, like I would be absolutely useless having anything to do with Runna. And hopefully I'm helpful to add to Dom as well. But at the same time, I think relatively, because we have such a little crossover in what we're good at, like between the two of us, we're good at lots of things, but also we don't have to like bother each other being like challenging each other on the same decision. If it's something that he's expert in, leave it to Dom, and vice versa.
Yeah. Like the achievement one's kind of quite difficult to answer, because what I'm always kind of most grateful for and proud of is just like the runners that we have, and just like seeing all of their stories. Like whenever anyone leaves us a review, like we read all of the reviews. They get posted into a Slack channel and we read all of them, and just like hearing about the users that are kind of using the product, really enjoying it, like that's what kind of makes our day, and that's what I'm like most grateful for 100 times over. In terms of kind of like a single, and the kind of problem with that and the kind of like subscriptions in a way is because every day we get a few more 100 users or 1,000 users signing up to the platform, which is obviously absolutely amazing. Now it's not kind of like a big step change, like it's never like we double overnight, and that's kind of a big moment that we can ever point at. I think the one moment that I would point to is probably closing our seed round. So we kind of went from being this kind of small startup that, as Ben mentioned, we did kind of like a crowdfund because we didn't kind of start off with the traditional kind of VC route, and then we were kind of raising at probably the most difficult time in the to go and raise an investment round. We're a kind of consumer fitness app, and a lot of the VCs have been burnt by other kind of fitness investments recently that have unfortunately like not been successful, and they lost a lot of money in that. So there's very few VCs that wanted to touch fitness. Very few of them wanted to touch consumer, and also because of the kind of market conditions, most of them didn't want to be investing at all. So kind of to go from that and take our kind of relatively small startup at the time and kind of get investment from like a really good like top tier VC fund was just like super exciting for us, and like I think that was like one of the greatest achievements for me that I can remember.
I think just to add to that as well, like another huge point to kind of like think back to as something that we can be so proud of is doing something for me that I used to get was the satisfaction of seeing Dom get fitter, see Dom get healthier, and see that progression. And relatively now we've got and that with my other clients as well. And now having all of these people training with us all around the world, we don't get to have that personal connection. But the thing that we see through kind people messaging us and telling us about their stories or the reviews is that like, and one that's happened time and time again is like someone finds us in Australia on the other side of the world, and they somehow start training with us for whatever reason, they get exposed to it. And they cite to us that it helped them with their mental health. It helped them get through a hard time in their life, and they went on to complete their 10K, and then 2 years later they now did a marathon. And to like know that for that one person that we've had an effect on them by like doing this silly evening project that we've done is just like enough to do it all over again.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, like we get to have that with lots of people, and we get to employ these amazing people like yourself, and like that is amazing. But like doing it for that one person is just amazing, and hopefully there's hundreds of thousands of people out there who are yet to come across Runna, and we can help them enjoy running in the way that the three of us do as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think running's just like really a wave at the moment, and it's just getting so big. Like everyone's running, everyone's out there at the moment, and it's like it's just so cool, and it's just really this kind of wave that we're grateful to be riding, but at the same time kind of like going forward, love to be pushing the wave as much as we are riding the wave, in the sense of we'd love to move from kind of promoting Runna to promoting running, and I think that would just be so cool when we can be getting more people, as kind of we get a lot of people into running, but kind of really focusing on how do we really encourage running across the entire world, how do we work with all of the different local communities and people and ambassadors, etc., to just really kind of get more people out there, because it's such an amazing sport. Like Ben and I just absolutely love it. We just want to share our love of the sport with everyone that we can do, and gets people fit, gets people healthy, gets them happy. It's a great way of meeting other people and having that kind of social connection, and at the same time it's free. All you need is a kind of pair of trainers and just to go outside and run. So we just really want to kind of encourage as many people as we possibly can do out there.
It is incredible. That silly little Monday night chat.
Before we segue into the fun, silly half of the podcast, we should hear about your goals for the year. So obviously you shared how you did the Athens Marathon, and you did the Southampton Half in the 1:50 time.
Yeah.
I know you've got a big landmark goal in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
That you're doing as well. And then maybe another goal.
You're referring to London.
Yeah. So tell us about London and the other running challenge you got this year.
Yeah. Cool. So managed to get into London on the ballot. So I think I've been applying.
So cool.
I've no idea how that happens. I've genuinely been applying every year since I turned 18 on the ballot. I'm now turning 30 this year, but somehow got in this year, which I was absolutely buzzed about. So got my first ever London Marathon. So obviously been training with Runna for the past 19 weeks, which have been amazing. I've missed one workout in the whole of the 19 weeks. So kind of having quite a busy time as well, so kind of really excited to be in this position, and super exciting. Like,
and
I think
he has been smashing the workouts. I've been checking everyone on Strava like I did all those years ago, and he does just about beat the paces. So he's gonna be exciting PB. I reckon is my score.
Maybe so. I mean, there's a lot of pressure this one, because like all of the other kind of races I've done in the past, there's not been kind of like all of my friends in one place, all of the family, whatever, and like I don't know, like quite a few people I know through Runna and whatever, and like there'll be so many people I know out supporting them, and you can just imagine like you're supporting whatever, and you're like, oh, there's Dom from Runna, like he's walking, because he set off too quickly, and now he's like died at like 30 kilometers in.
Dom's not listening to the audio.
And it's just like quite a lot of pressure in a way, so definitely feel it slightly more than I have done with other races, but so excited for that.
And then you got another one of your ultras later in the year?
Yeah. So I'm doing Ultra X Finland. So that's a 50k in Finland. So that's in May time, which was really, really exciting, and goal for that basically. So I've done I think before that I'd done 2 or 3 ultra marathons, but I did one in Morocco last year, which is a 50k. My girlfriend, who'd only ever done one marathon before, was like, okay, I'm going to sign up and do this ultra, and I was kind of went into full runner mode. So I was kind of telling her how to train for it, like all the nutrition to take, all the salt tablets, and I was like, I need to make sure to do this the night before, and like do this at each of the checkpoints, and I was kind of giving her all these tips, and we got to I think checkpoint 2, and then she just completely overtook me. I have a bit of a genetic disadvantage, as you can see in the heat, given that I'm unbelievably pale, and I just like anything over kind of 18, 19 degrees, I just can't run in. This was like 29 degrees, no shade in the middle of the desert, but she just kind of powered on ahead and beat me by about 20 minutes, and I haven't been able to forget that since.
Hence why they've now signed up for a snowy ultramarathon.
Yeah, exactly.
In Finland, and Dom's also hoping that London Marathon is raining. Yeah.
So basically, my goal for the year is to get 1-1 with my girlfriend in an ultra. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, that'll be great. Good luck.
My top tip today is on easy running. Easy running will make up most of the volume within your training plan, and it is exactly what it says on the tin, nice and easy. A good measure of making sure your easy run is at the right intensity is by making sure you can hold a conversation during these runs. These runs are really important for improving your endurance and helping you to recover for those faster, harder sessions.
Okay, should we do some silly questions?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. Do you think you two would have a quicker time running a marathon backwards or running it joint together, like a 2-legged race?
Well, I have actually tried to do parkrun backwards.
Okay.
What?
This is the same, haven't we all?
This is such a Ben Parker thing.
Well, I was like doing parkrun with some mates who were all hungover and like wanted to run a bit slower, and I was like, well, I'm just going to run backwards so I can talk to them. And I did like 2K.
That is genuinely the most Ben Parker thing.
I did like 2K, and you would not believe how much my calves hurt.
Really?
Yeah, it was really horrendous. So, like, I think you'd be faster running 5K backwards, but for a marathon joint at the hip with a leg joint, I actually think it might help because we'd be so focused on left, right, that you'd get in the flow of that, and then you get so distracted that before you know it, you're like at the marathon distance. But no, I'm going joint. What's your option?
I'm trying to think of things that you also need to do in a marathon, like apart from running, that are quite difficult to do if you're tied
You
together.
mean like going to the toilet?
Yeah, like a little loo break at the half marathon point, or I don't know, picking up some water from the stand or something. I feel like that would be quite difficult.
I think you'd also get annoyed at me and then try and run off and then realise that you're still with me.
Yeah.
So what, are you going backwards?
I also don't want to get chafage from your leg as well.
You get itchy with all my hairy thighs.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go backwards. I prefer to run backwards, but
Well, you'll be backwards and I'll be tied to you, and then we'll have to run the whole thing backwards tied together.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, lovely.
Perfect. Okay, would you rather run 10K a day for a year or a marathon every month for a year? A marathon for a month forever.
Forever.
Forever. 10K a day for a year or a marathon a month forever.
Like-
Until your body gives
I
up.
feel like both would be quite fun, but
I think a marathon a month is actually like...
I think that's easier than the 10K
Oh,
a
yeah.
day.
I think, like, obviously, if you got injured, each of them would be ridiculous. But I think a marathon a month would be quite nice. You could go and travel the world and turn up in your destination and just run around.
Yeah, just like invite friends with you. It's a great chatty thing. Whereas I think like 10K on the day when it's like raining and freezing cold, and I don't know, it's the day before you go on holiday or whatever it is.
Or the day after your ultra marathon, you've got to run 10K.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite hard. So I'm going to go with the marathon
Yeah,
as well.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, would you rather a Marmite flavoured energy gel or a Brussels
Nope.
sprout flavoured electrolyte drink?
Oh,
All you can consume in the marathon.
Well, I hate Marmite, so the Brussels sprout one.
a Brussels sprout, what? Pints of
Electrolyte
Brussels sprout electrolytes.
I don't think that'd be too bad.
Okay, well, I'll make it for you. Can we actually do this? And then get a snippet that we share on like the podcast somewhere of Dom drinking Brussels sprout electrolyte juice.
Yeah.
What's electrolyte juice? That's just like salt.
Yeah,
it's
we
like
get,
salt,
we,
right?
we,
So
just
it's just
we
like
get some seawater and blended Brussels sprouts.
it's just like sprouts. Like that's literally eating like.
Okay.
Imagine you just eat
It
a
sounds
plate.
more like a bush tucker trial.
I think it sounds fine. Like
okay.
when you have a roast dinner, you have some sprouts, or like Christmas dinner, you have some sprouts and some salt on it, and then you might have some water on the side. It's just that.
Well,
Your Christmas dinner is an electrolyte. Is an electrolyte.
Brussels sprout the smoothie. I actually don't hate or love Marmite.
It's salty though, it would help.
And I'm very just good at having gels, so I think I'd just smash a Marmite gel and hope you lift it up the tail. And there's also like a gel is smaller than a pint. Imagine you get halfway through your Brussels sprout juice and realise that it tastes like this. And then you're still going.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
knows?
Marmite have sponsored the podcast, or are they going to be launching their new gels?
Very good. And a question we ask all of our guests, Dom, is you are naked on the start of a marathon and you're only allowed 3 things with you for that marathon. What would your 3 things be?
So you're completely naked,
Yeah.
and yeah, what do you want?
Okay, well, as I've told you about Morocco already, like number one thing is got to be Factor 50 sun cream. So that would be number one. Probably a cap as well.
So you're naked, lathered in Factor 50 sun cream with a cap on.
Yeah. So that's
one
the
more.
bases covered there. At least I can get through to the finish line. And
But
then...
you're not even taking a third.
Sorry.
You're not. You're
No.
waiting for your third.
Yeah, waiting, and then probably.
I thought you were just saying, "Off, it's got a sun cream on. I'm done."
Assuming that they give out water on the court. So third would be water, but if they give that out, then probably a pair of shoes. Yeah.
No socks.
Sorry.
No socks.
I prefer shoes and no socks to socks and no shoes. I prefer to run barefoot than run a marathon.
But
Just
so
socks.
you're doing shoes with your knob out. That's a yes. Okay. Well, my three.
Yeah.
So the one thing Dom has forgotten is that his workout is not going to be back in his Runna app at the end of the day.
No, you can. We've got add manual activity now. So
Okay.
now you can go onto the activities tab, add any data after it, and you can select the distance, you can set the time, and select the race. So, yeah.
Fill that through.
Yeah,
Well,
that's sorted.
I'm wearing my Garmin watch.
Okay.
I will wear some carbon shoes
Yes.
and sunglasses. My Oakley Citroës.
Nice. So we'll both be running naked next to each other.
Tied at the hip
Boxers,
as well.
boxers would be at number 7, I think.
Also, but if you didn't wear the sun cream, it would incentivize you to run fast because you need to get done before you get burnt.
Yeah.
Although you can't do a marathon in 12 minutes. So
Oh, yeah, I think I'm about that, probably.
Thank you so much. It's genuinely been so interesting speaking to you both today.
Nice. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
it's like, yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast, Dom.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Dom. Very good.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Runna. If you want to train for any distance goal, please download the Runna app and don't forget to use the code Runna Podcast, all one word, for a 2-week free trial.
And if you liked today's episode with Dom, please like, subscribe, follow, all of that stuff. And if you'd like us to get some better guests than Dom, please subscribe so we can go and get some more interesting guests for next time as well.